Drake did some shit recently, right? Now Drake is my favorite rapper.
What did he do?
But when I see that the last real hip hop black media, right, that like Drake did, right, was 3 years ago. Okay. But
Rap Radar.
Yeah, but he made sure that these two seasoned hip hop journalists did an interview on his channel, on Drake's channel, and his team had all the edits, right? But then you go to this like white girls like platform with 50,000 subs.
Yeah, the TikTok girl.
To do her third episode.
Right.
Fourth episode.
A word? Right?
She only had 3
Yeah, she doesn't have a lot.
Right?
Yeah.
And
Lil Yachty just did one as well.
And he took her from 50,000 subscribers to 300,000 in 4 days. Why couldn't Drake do that for, again, like fuck race, but somebody of the culture?
Right. It's a theory that people say white ice is colder. Like if you walk into a white store, supposedly the ice is supposed to be colder than if you walk in a black-owned store. The ice there is supposed to be of a less degree Celsius or whatnot. I don't subscribe to that line of thinking. Shout out to Elliott Wilson. I met him at the Empire Brunch a couple of weeks ago. He is one of my like idols in this music shit. Grew up reading him in Double XL's The Source, YN. Shout out to Elliott. And I'm all about changing up the guard. I'm all about out with the old, in with the new. Love new media people coming up. Feel like a lot of older media people could pass the baton, pass the mic. But Elliott is one of those guys I feel like still has a good heart. So I know he'll figure it out. I know right now he's just figuring out what his lane is going to be. But Drake definitely should give Elliott another interview. I definitely want to see Drake and all, not just Drake. Not
Elliott though.
Why not?
That was why I was so shocked to see Elliott take an aim at Drake about that, because it's like he gave you an interview 3 years ago. Like it would feel like everybody else in rap media, from me to the Breakfast Club to Vlad to whoever, everybody should be a little bit more like, well, I should be salty about like, well, how are you going to go do an interview with this little white girl and not me? But like Elliott, like you got one 3 years ago. What are you talking about?
That lets you know how much I care. Even though I just got one, I want to see you do one with other people. I take the bullet for people all the time in regards to, I'll say something I know might hurt my career, hurt my pockets, but I know it'll be the better good or benefit.
Elliott said he said, when are you gonna come and do like a second one? You feel me? Like,
but do you think Drake? Do you think Drake intentionally counterweighted the Bobbi interview with going on the radar and being like, look at how much I'm going to enthusiastically embrace an underground New York City podcast platform?
No, I was not happy, right? Because again, though, why couldn't Gabe get the 1 hour plus interview? Huh?
He got the freestyle. He got Drake. They got the biggest artist in the world. The freestyle.
But Gabe, to be fair, Gabe's interviews are not as popping as the fact that he has freestyles with groups with 10, 20 million views.
And he has a on the radar LA freestyle coming with like Jason Cash and who is Chris King and this artist named Incognita.
I see he's doing it in Florida right now. He's really all over the place trying to get as much of that shit as possible.
I love it.
Yeah, you can't blame Drake for wanting to do content with the people that he finds to be the most interesting or whatever. When I watched that interview with the white girl Bobbi, I did find it fucking hilarious as I was watching it, but then having a little bit of time to think about it, you're like, well, that is kind of a weird choice. And are you only going to do meme interviews from now on? Because he did it with Barstool with the Caleb Presley dude. Yeah. He did one with Yachty that it was more of a softball fun interview. And you can't blame him for just doing shit that is fun. Obviously, he doesn't want to go do an interview with somebody that's going to ask him insanely
serious
tough questions that are going to make him look bad.
Right, but like, I just don't want to see again, right? The only times I get to see Drake speak and do interviews is through the lens of a outsider, right? And that's fucked up.
And for a moment, I was feeling like that about Drake when I saw him go do the Full Send podcast with the Nelk Boys. I'm like, damn, so is Dirk just going to only do interviews with people like them who aren't going to ask him the tough questions? But then he goes and does an academics podcast, and academics ask him a lot of hard questions.
Which was a dope interview.
That'll be the last like Lil Durk like hip hop interview.
I can relate that back to LA rappers because I remember a time where LA rapper would come do a No Jumper interview, but then they wouldn't do an interview with black media. It's like, you don't even have enough listeners. On Monday, you come to No Jumper. On Tuesday, you'll ask me to be at whatever blog will have you. On Wednesday, you'll ask me to be at whatever blog will have you. You don't have enough listeners, enough fan base, enough equity in the game to be turning down interviews. Like, don't just... There were literally artists that would only do No Jumper, and that's it. Oh, I got my No Jumper interview. Like, no, even when I dropped my first book, I did No Jumper. Then I did Palmcast, Talk to Remix Mag, Eargasmic Media, all the black media platforms as well on separate days. That's called a press run. You don't just come sit with one platform and then, oh, that's the end of my press run.
I have seen it though too, where it is, as an artist especially, even for me, like I've done press runs where I did 12 interviews in the course of 4 days on different platforms, and it's always like there's one or two that get the headlines or they get the actual interesting content, and then the other ones kind of fall by the wayside because even my most hardcore fans are not going to watch 12 fucking interviews. A lot of those interviews I would be looking at the Reddit thinking like, oh, I said something in this interview that they're going to pick up on, and it felt like nobody even fucking acknowledged it or gave a shit because you know that like doing a shitload of interviews in a row is not really, it kind of waters down your presence and it doesn't really give the fans
for a brand
what
new
they
artist?
want. Well, especially for a brand new artist. Like if I'm a smaller artist, I don't know. It's a tough one.
You turning down press as a brand new artist? Like this your second mixtape, third mixtape, you turning down press?
Oh, yeah, of course. Listen, right?
Sometimes.
Look,
that's
right,
crazy.
No, look, listen. When it comes to interviews, right? Again, I tell every like rapper that I know personally, bro, you better not ever do no interview, nigga. Listen, an interview like for like a rapper, like for example, right? Like we're like you have no real personality to, you know, right? Like
oh yeah.
You shouldn't be doing no interviews. You feel me? Right, like, you know, right, just like drop music, right? Because again, like you're like here, like for you, like that interview like does nothing for you. Right, like, right, like.
But it's content to repost for your fans. So if I'm an LA rapper and and there's no Double XL's not talking about me, I'm not on the radio. Billboard's not talking about me. Rolling Stone's not talking about me. Hip Hop DX not talking about me. No platform is covering my music. I'm gonna go sit with the new local blogs so that I have content to repost that day. That's an interview I can repost and show my fans, hey, somebody cares about me, care about me too.
To me, I would spread it out though, so that you're not just doing like 5 different episodes of different shows wearing the same outfit, saying the same shit. Definitely. Because I've had artists hit me up and they want me to interview them, and then I go and I search their name with the word interview after it on YouTube, and I find that they did Say Cheese, they did this thing, they did this thing, they did this thing, and it's like, if you weren't doing numbers on those platforms, then why would I think that it would be different on mine? And it's like, I don't want to do content that is just exactly the same as a bunch of other shit that you already did. So a lot of times I would pass on that. To me, being an artist and having the public interested in you is like a superpower, and you can kind of like easily lose your superpower by just doing a shitload of media and flooding the zone with too much information. And a lot of artists would be smarter to kind of save some of that information for the music. You just don't want to be blown out. You don't want the public to lose interest in you because you put too much out there. Cardi has the opposite problem where he doesn't give you anything, so his fans are chomping at the bit trying to hear anything they possibly can.
Well, listen, the advice you just gave, LA rappers are already exceeding in it. They don't do press. So they definitely got that down pat. No press, 10 across the board.
No, like, bro, like, here, right? But like, you tend to like and respect a rapper more before meeting them. Right, like
you get disappointed before meeting them. A lot of times,
it is not like it's like the mystique behind them. Like, oh shit, you feel me, right? But then when you meet them and their voice is like normal and they're like, right, like
they're not what they're talking about in music.
Yeah, right, and it's like, you know, like he's a dweeb.
But if you're performing in your music, when you show up to the interview, you're supposed to be performing too. You're supposed to come as that character, that persona. Don't show up to my interview as a real person, but then I'm on wax talking about XYZ. Show up to your interview as that person, that persona.
And that's why it's like, if you really are an amazing interviewee as an artist or whatever, then you could do a lot of fucking different interviews. A lot of artists, though, they don't even have, they can't even be interesting for 20 or 30 minutes on camera. So you really don't want to go do 10 different interviews if you are boring as fuck on all of them.